有，对，到时候就要写。不是，就是你就其实就一下子你就走到他能看到你的地方，比如说那前面看的，然后结束右行。对，就是一定要走到那它的根底，因为你这个感觉是好像是看起，就是那个根底才一定要觉得看东西。
这个是这样用的吗？
这个我每次也搞不太定。
你都立个呗。
我想问一下，现在你们可以看到全屏吗？现场？
稍等，我们看一下。可以的。
可以的。现在是了是吧？
可以的。
好的。然后我试一下翻页。
翻页了吗？
可以。
好的。
好的，那我现在停在这个可以吗？还是？
对，您结束共享就可以了。
现在退下来了。
好的。
整體中開始嘅陣間2點前提早幾分鐘仲係未睇啊？
應該可以在線上的，所以線上的那個它要進到那個系統裡面去。
然後它那個視頻裡面音頻什麼都沒有，不是音頻的。
這邊有視頻是嗎？
對，所以
是這一頁是嗎？
下面
這一頁是嗎？是這兒明白，應該是沒有問題的。好，我會提示他們一下。
你是不夠嗎
？OK。好。
因為我只係對。
这个 Merieux 就是那个上海公司领导的，然后他共享的时候，他的这个 PPT 里面有一个段是音频，所以共享是需要写那个选项， 可以选这两个选项。
就是共享的时候选那个共享
声音和视频流畅，就把这两个都勾上就可以了。
这是当他比如说马上要播放音频的时候，
不是，这
刚开始我明白，这两个选项就可以。好，明白。
这是没有画图的，没画图，有的。对，这正好一点。
我是想问你，我确认有的人不认识，完全不认识。
哦，但是哎，刚才谁把这个灯出了？怎么就哦？还是问一下我，我要让后边人。
这边的听都小，要不然要换到这个大。
是个退了吗？
也不知道是谁退了，就我啥都没点。
哦，没有退，我看着还在呢，
还在
这儿呢，吓我一跳，没有退。
哦，
吓我一跳。
我们能把他们切换到屏幕上吗？简单的这个
因为他没开摄像头，需要开启。
没开，黑的也可以啊。
哦，就是说所有人并列在那个屏幕上。
对。这会议的上海有问题，现在都做不上。对啊，是的。能切吗？切完我们就开始，把他们4个人。可以吗？啊，没事的，黑的也可以。对，一模。另外还有那个 Lily、Janet、Mark ，Good morning， 早上好。下午好。
Good morning and good afternoon, and to different audience. And good afternoon to our Chinese audience. And because of due to the restriction of the venue, and sorry, some of you have to stand there for this, forum, and this is about improving food safety performance through setting and measuring food safety KPIs. I'm from Danone. My name is Xu Jie. And we have, those, big players, for example, Starbucks and Mars, and we also have the entertainment players, for example, from Disney, as well as Wei Shuai from Alibaba, and also Mark from the world of auditing. So please say hi to our audience. Say hi, please. And I'm the co-chair from the China's part, and we also have Avius Ray, who's the former Danone corporate general manager and the GFSI chairman. So I'd like to give you Ray to frame this afternoon session.
So, can you hear me, right? Yes. Good morning, Shanghai. Good morning, everyone. I strongly regret, and that for the third years in a row, that I am unable to be with you in person. But despite the fact of being far away from you, that it is dark here in Europe, I am super excited to be co-sharing this session with Shuji. Let me tell you that Shuji is one of the smartest people I have met in various parts of the world and I have worked with. So you are in very good hands with him for sharing this session on site. So again, it's a great honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to contribute to this session. I greatly appreciate the dynamism of your country, the culture and the energy of the people that make China a very special place that I like. So let me tell you that you have made the right choice in selecting this session, because today we have an outstanding lineup of speakers and a very interesting topic to address. So just a few words about KPI. KPIs are not only simply a system of measurement, a matrix. It's much more. It runs deep into the DNA of your company or organization, because what you measure tells a story about what you value, what you are. So key performance indicators are measurable values that demonstrate how effectively a company is achieving key food safety objectives. You can't improve what you don't measure. Measure what you treasure. Based on my personal experience, I will say that the best way to manage food safety performances is to merge the insight from backward-looking indicators, we call them lagging indicators, with more forward-looking insight and prediction, leading indicators. So leading indicators inform business leaders of how to produce desired results that help look forward and at future outcome and event, while lagging indicators measure current production and performances. They look back at whether the intended result was achieved. So just an example, food safety certification, and I am pleased that Mark is part of the panel. Food safety certification is a good example of leading indicators. It provides proof that the product itself is fit for purpose. So just my last word about key performance indicators. Let me add that because we live in a very rush and hurry world, where consumer, government, everyone are prone to react, immediate action is required. Luckily, our present-day world, new smart digital technologies such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, sensor technologies, collaborative platform for big data sharing, offers the potential to help food safety managers get early warning and better set up interpret, analyze food safety key performance indicators. Thanks to that, lagging KPIs could become not that much lagging KPIs. That means artificial intelligence can help you a lot. So let's get into the bare bones of the topics. I am more than pleased to hand the floor over to Shuji. Shuji, the floor is yours. I'll let you handle the debate. I will, you know me, I will intervene to make comment for sure, remark and or ask questions that will come to my mind. So, G, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivan. 谢谢伊文，因为我相信大家从A5的这个简单的介绍的话，了解今天下午我们一起。
From his opening speech, we're going to have a 3-hour kind of time for all the presentations and the speeches, and we have a lot of representatives from the leading enterprises, and in terms of practice as well as methodologies. And in this 3 hours, and we would like to learn more from each other and how to set a better KPI and to achieve better food safety assurance. So we have different representatives from different leading enterprises, and they were going to give you some taste about some case studies, and it's very and the last and then finally we're going to have a panel discussion. And the first slide to give you Jeanette Zhou, the vice president of quality from Danone Food and Beverage Co. Limited. And she had 20 years of experience in the food manufacturing industry from different
leading
companies. So I believe that she's going to give you a lot of good insight of this industry. So let's give her a round of applause. Jeanette Zhou. And good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Zhou Jie. So my name is Jeanette. I'd like to share my screen first. Can you see the full screen? Can you see my screen shared? Of course. Thank you. And thank you, Eve, and thank you, Xujie, for your warm introduction and also the opening of this session. So they recommend that I use English to deliver my presentation.
As Steve said, I think that this is a very interesting and important topic. People often say what gets measured gets done. And for the food industry, food safety is such crucial. So we do need to have a clear measurement that tells us, where we are. Are we making good progress? Is it sustainable? So I'll share briefly on how Danone is approaching this topic. So before I start, please allow me to share briefly who is Danone. We are a leading global player in the food industry. All of our products are in the health-focused areas in food and also in beverage. And our mission is to bring health through food to as many people as possible. And it goes without saying that without food safety, we don't even have a foundation to talk about health. So that's how important food safety is. In China, we have also a very consistently have a health-focused product portfolios, but that is tailored to our Chinese consumers. We have early life nutrition products, our water and beverage, and also our advanced medical nutrition. All of these are in China for our for our Chinese consumers. And our quality and food safety ambition is centered around to excel in quality and food safety everywhere, every day. And it is supported by 4 pillars. First and foremost, it is to be trusted by our consumers. Here we talk about compliance and integrity to protect our consumers and our company reputations. And then we want to be preferred. We want to offer superior consumer experience that the consumer prefer and choose. And then we want to do it in a very effective way offer our product value for money through excellence and efficiency end-to-end throughout the value chain. And we want to do that in a way to engage our Danoners day in and day out to live quality because we all care. And so that's the last part, to be proud. Food safety is fundamental to our promise. And in our company 2030 goal, it clearly says we pledge to not only meet regulation requirements, but also to the highest quality and food safety standards. And, okay, oops, my screen froze. Yeah, so now we talk about measuring food safety. How do we do that? In Danone, we measure that in 4 areas. And I call them, some are the hard measures, some are the soft measures, and probably also another way one, some are leading indicators, some are the lagging ones. First, it is to measure the robustness of our food safety management system. And then measuring the robustness of our capability in our organization. And of course, we have to measure the impact to the business to engage our stakeholders in the business. And then it's easy to achieve good results for 1 year, but can we make it sustainable? So measuring the sustainability of success is actually very, very important. So I'll go through them one by one. First is to measure the robustness of food safety management system. Our food safety management system, very common in the industry, is covering the 3 areas that is in the red box here. Food safety, traditional food safety, the food fraud and food defense, for all the food safety hazards that covering from microbiological hazards, chemical hazards, allergens, physical hazards, nutritional hazards. And then these are in covering all of our product categories and all steps in our value chain. Audit is a key tool in flagging risk. They are not only important to assessing our compliance to standards, but also to assess the weak points. The robustness of the whole system is only as strong as the weakest point, as we often said. And in Danone, we have normally 2 main types of audits. The first one is our the food safety certification, under the GFSI scheme. For our internal operations, we use the FSC 22000, but we also measure how many of our co-manufacturers, our partners, suppliers are certified to the GFSC standards. And then Danone also operates an audit program against our own Danone standards that is conducted auditors by our central food safety team. And in all of these, we remembered that food safety management system is that protects us, not a certificate on the wall. So to make it very robust, we have a food safety internal audit program. And this program is auditing against our Danone internal standards that is organized centrally by our global food safety team. It is independent from the business and conducted by a team of highly experienced auditors. And after the audit, it generates a risk-based scores, what we call it the food safety index. As you see here, the FSI, food safety index. And that it measures our performances in 3 categories. The Danone basic, and then making progress to Danone standards. And then where we aspire to is actually a lot of our operations are operating at the Danone excellence level. At this level, our operations can demonstrate that they have very strong food safety management system implemented with only minor non-conformance after the audits. So that is the a risk-based approach and generating one simple FSI indicators that tell us where our operations maturity level are. And this is a summary of the food safety KPIs that we are reporting globally at the very highest level of the company management team. It has the food safety index representing the level of maturity in our operations that, as I mentioned. It also measures the percentage of our manufacturing sites that are certified to the FSC 22000 scheme, and also the percentage of our third-party sites that are GFSI certified. And then, of course, we also measure the end result of number of crises and incidents according to our food safety management policies. The food safety management system is not just a bunch of documents and papers that to be used to decorate the production floor or to put into the files for audits. It's really meant to govern our everyday operations. And to make that happen, we need people. So that's why people capability is another aspect in measuring the robustness of our food safety performance. As I said here, people capability is our foundation. And we define a very comprehensive functional competence model that divides our competencies into 3 categories that are important to make quality and food safety management system living. So the first one is about our ability to understand consumers, understand business and connect with business, and also to engage our stakeholders. Quality food and food safety does not work in a vacuum. No matter how correct the agenda we wanted to push is, if we cannot connect with our stakeholders, we can't do it together, it's just going to be twice as difficult. So that's why the first pillar is about really understanding consumer, business, and stakeholders. And then in the middle is our core competencies, is our expertise in systems, methods, and new technologies and tools. And this is actually really an area that can be evolving. For example, you can see like the food safety management systems, the methods, tools, audits, change management, project management, these are very, I would say, traditional, or they are core, they stay true over time. But also now with more and more new technologies becomes available, like Eve just mentioned about a lot of data and techniques are now becoming available. So we do need, as quality and food safety professionals, we do need to develop our competencies in this area. So this little box about data analytics, new technology is actually newly added to our competence model last year. So that's also, we are finding also more and more, this is becoming more and more important for our teams. And then the last part is about technical and science, where we, to talk about the science about food safety, the food science, food technologies, and more, very importantly, analytical capabilities. So we utilize a digital tools to facilitate our competence review, that to understand for different type of positions, where is our expectations, our targets, and where we are currently, which generates a heat map that help us clearly, easily to know where is our strength, where is our opportunities, and where do we need to focus. And doing this with a digital tool actually makes it very easy as well. to consolidate at a scale. And then another part about our capability is these analytical capabilities clearly plays a very important role. And in Danone, we have this analytical excellence program that we use to manage our laboratories across the globe, the whole network. There is proficiency programs to see how well our data are they accurate, are they repeatable, and then also good laboratory practices, and then audit against auditing our labs against these standards, and then taking it to another level, which is certifying our key labs to the CNAS standard. So these two makes our capability measures. And then measuring the impact to business. This is actually there is typical measures of impact. Normally is two typical measures. One is what went wrong, number of incidents, crisis, recalls, etc. And then the other one is let the money talk, right? Measuring the finance impact. These two measurements works. Is the end result is also a little bit of after the fact measures. And if we only talks about them in the business, it feels that the business, the focus is kind of more on the lagging effects and a little bit on the negative side. So can we change that? We found that by really extend to the bottom of the pyramid, as if you are familiar with the safety management, there is a pyramid model that where you classify different by severity, the different type of incidents into different categories. And very similarly as well in quality, I think this model also applies in the food safety areas. And when we extend this pyramid to one more layer to measure the near misses, we find that we are changing from actually a reactive measurement to a proactive measurement. The near misses is those situations that a hazard or a behavior, it presents a hazard to our food safety system. It has not impacted any product yet, but it has the potential to do so. So over the years, we spent a lot of efforts to really change the people's mindset on how do we see these occurrences. Do we see them as a failure, or do we see them as an opportunity to improve? Really makes a huge difference. And in Danone Waters China, for example, we actually give incentives for people to report on any findings they find on the line, any near misses, any opportunities that they can find. And I'll show you these two charts. These are real numbers. They are real numbers from the business. When we encourage people to report near misses, you can see that amazingly, when the number of reports went up, the cost of non-quality actually went down, actually very significantly by more than 80% over the last 4 years. It really shows that by pushing down to the bottom of the pyramid and put our measures on what could prevent things go wrong, really have a great return to the business. That is not only giving us a strong food safety results, but also financial rewards. So the last bit is to measure the sustainability of success. And for that, we have to look at the culture of the organization. To sustain any performances, it has to be embedded in the organization's culture. And in Danone, our culture of quality and food safety is under the brand name of I Care. we have a unique model that has 4 key drivers. Leadership commitment, that is very easy to understand, that everything starts with the business, with the leaders in the business. And employee ownership, message credibility, and then peer involvement. These are the 4 key drivers for building a strong quality and food safety culture. And then it can be measured in 4 areas. If an organization is having a strong food safety culture, you can see people, they are hearing about it. They see things around them that demonstrate the importance. They can feel it in their day-to-day work. And also they are transferring, people are transferring their knowledge, their commitment in the organization. So through a culture survey that we conduct every 2 years, we summarize every result into one measure that is called the Culture of Quality Index. And this index shows where the maturity of the organization in 5 levels. At the bottom of this scale is detached, meaning that quality and food safety is not relevant for this organization. It just doesn't care. And then the moving up is responding to what, merely what must be done. And then following is that the organization is, they would listen. And then when there is expectations and requirements, this organization is willing to do what is needed. And at the 4th level, that it is improving, we proactively seek opportunities to improve. And then the most mature level is living quality, and quality and food safety is ingrained, embedded in every aspect of the business, and it is living in the organization day in and day out. So this is a very easy, unique, and clear measurements that measures culture, which is not that easy sometimes, to describe in a simple way. And with this one index, that actually it makes it very easy to not only communicate internally where we are, but also to make comparison possible. For example, to see where we were, a couple years back, are we making progress, and where we wanted to go. So it's a very easy way to show it, to engage. So just some quick examples on how we are doing it in the organization. For example, in leadership commitments. In Danone Waters China, for example, that we have food safety leadership training. And what's more important is this training is actually not conducted by the quality of food safety team. It's conducted by the factory director who speaks to his leadership directly. So he is the trainer. They are hearing these the food safety training from their factory director on how important it is, and why is it important, and how to do it. And let me tell you, the impact is actually amazing. When the factory director is a trainer for food safety, first, they learn very well themselves about the topics. And secondly, they make a much powerful statements to the organizations. And then employee ownership and peer involvement. These are just 2 very simple examples that the employees are leading efforts in conducting job food safety analysis on what is important for their job from a food safety angle, and how to manage those hazards. And then the QC teams are leading their improvement projects. And then enhanced message credibility. I think it is very important. Every day we celebrate the World Quality Day and also the World Food Safety Day. And we utilize these events to celebrate small successes. In the organization, you can see we have case, we have games, and then the factory measures how many days they have gone on without major food safety quality issues. And it is participated by everybody in the team. And then the next one is to celebrate our everyday heroes. Every year that we take these, the World Quality Day events to recognize the people on our shop floor. And like, for example, this year we have like more than 300 employees and more than 60 teams that are rewarded as quality star every year. And these are the people that are from all different functions. It can be from operations, from engineering, from finance, but they are our everyday heroes in quality and food safety. So that's for how we manage measures for safety in Danone. And for us, it is not only important that we do what we want to be in Danone, but also to be an active player in the food industry. So in China for China is what we believe. Danone, we have opened a open science research center in Shanghai 2 years ago, and we want to be recognized and as a major contributor to the China health and well-being agenda. That you can see that we work with public organizations, academia, associations, and private organizations. Many of them are presented here, together to make the food industry in China stronger and better. So that's all from my sharing.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Jeanette.
We believe that after Jeanette's introduction, you have some taste and you have some kind of knowledge about marrying about the food safety capability and the management system, and thirdly, it's the kind of influence, the business impact or impact on business. And this is quite important, and we are often asked by the management. And of course, food safety is the foundation, the cornerstone of our business. But how we can measure its impact on business, and then is the food safety culture. How can we measure this kind of culture? Because there are soft skills or soft things. And so after Jeanette's presentation, we can get a lot of inspirations and insights. In the next, we are very glad to have another leading company, that is Moss, and I'd like to give you Lily Yu, the Supplier Quality Management Senior Director from Moss. And Lily has more than 20 years of working experience in Moss, and being in charge of logistics and sourcing and supply management and etc. And so I believe that Lily will bring about a lot of the practice about how to measure food safety from her perspective. Thank you. And Jeanette, please stop your sharing. Please stop your sharing. Thank you. Thank you. You can see my screen, right? Yes, we can see it. First of all, many thanks to all of you. It's my great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk with you how we manage the KPIs about food safety and then to improve the performance and the quality of our products. And from Jeanette, and we have known about and a very good kind of practice system about food safety. And I believe that we are using some similar kind of methodologies. And when we're talking about the KPIs about food safety, just mentioned by Ray, it is a system or standard to measure the effectiveness in this domain, and just mentioned by Jeanette, and be it quality culture and quality performance, we need something that is measurable to talk about effectiveness so as to help us manage our brand. So this kind of KPIs will indicate those key those outcomes or results, and for different functions, for different organizations. We won't have a lot of KPIs, and those very key ones, just as mentioned by Jeanette, 4 pillars. So not in a large number, but they are very important. They need to serve our vision about food safety management. It should be associated or highly correlated to the vision of each of our companies. And when we're talking about the importance of this KPI, why we are using the KPI to do the trick, and we think that it has 3 kind of how to say functions. And the first, focus, and for monitoring and recognizing, and in our case, and we can focus on our organization, and what is the key motivation, what is the key driving force or drivers. Second, it can make very good in the diagnosis, timely, and we'll know about those key opportunities and during this kind of timely diagnosis. And thirdly, enabling, and just as mentioned by Jeanette, this is a dynamic kind of progress. And through this kind of changing and dynamic management system, and we believe that we are going to have very good outcomes from the food safety management, which can enable the development of our company. So why KPI of food safety is quite important to the overall food safety management. And when we're talking about MOS, and we are a 100-year enterprise, and we have 5 kind of principles. That is quality, efficiency, and quality, responsibility, maturity, and efficiency, and freedom. And so you can see quality is the most prioritized one, and we want to make the best value from our products. And so we'd like to cover our whole manufacturing, sales, and the whole value chain in terms of safety, design, and planning. And when you're talking about the KPI in MOS and how we determine those KPIs, and which is very similar to Jeanette's presentation. And the first, we need to know about what's your organization purpose and objectives. So it's not only about our own FS teams, and we should engage or include the mission or the purpose of the whole organization. It's not only about the department or the function of food safety. So then next, how you plan to achieve? So we need to establish certain kind of strategies and with certain kind of focus. First, it can cover, of course, food safety. It can also comply to the overall values and as well as the objectives of the company. And then after that, we can get the foundation of KPI. And Jeanette and Ray have mentioned about the leading indicators and the lagging indicators. So some people pay a lot of attention to the lagging indicators, but I want to emphasize that when we choosing our KPIs and we do not need, we don't want to neglect the leading indicators, and it will indicate certain kind of the trend of the FS management, and then we can take timely kind of measures and to ensure that the achievements or good outcomes of the lagging indicators. So they are both important. So with this kind of understanding on these indicators or these outcomes, and we can learn our lesson and then to promote the improvement and then make continuous kind of improvement, and in the whole process of API settings, and that is communication. And Jeanette mentioned, and Mr. She has mentioned that, and for FS KPI, we have the KC holders, the management, the functions, and the partners, and the manufacturing lines, and all the personnel in the team. So as long as all the stakeholders and all the colleagues as well as all the staffs, and we can ensure the achievement or the fulfillment of those KPIs. So we need to have a very clear communication strategy, and after we set up those goals and aims, and we can break down those goals and objectives into different departments and on different individuals, and in their case for different teams and sub teams, and they can establish their own kind of event and the projects so as to ensure the achievements or the fulfillment of the KPIs. And this is the kind of a process to establish KPI and its implementation kind of process. And the next, the communication is quite important. So why? And when we're talking about the KPIs, when we're talking about the objectives and strategies, and they are conducive for us to establish this kind of food safety culture. Jeanette mentioned it's a very important driver to enable the sustainability of food safety. And during the communication or in the process of communication, and we can establish this kind of food safety culture. So before the KPI setting or in the middle of the KPI setting or after the KPI setting, and then we can achieve or reach consensus with certain kind of stakeholders, and what are the key indicators and what kind of concerted efforts we need to make to achieve or to fulfill this kind of standards. Second is about management. And the first, after we confirm about the KPIs, and we need to have very sufficient communication with the management after we get approval from them, and we can acquire those support or investments, be it human resources and capital, and to fulfill or to accomplish this kind of targets. And then thirdly is the communication with our peers or our staffs.
We just informed when we have this goal, when we have this kind of KPI, how to measure this performance, and also just make them think about that in their own role, and what is their individual KPI, or what are the critical projects they need to work on, so as to improve everybody's ownership and engagement as a result, so as to promote the corporate culture, so as to empower the performance of the food safety, quality safety. How to align and with each other about our goals. Also, we need to think about that. We have all these KPIs, whether these KPIs are right KPIs, whether these KPIs will be able to inform that our quality system is effective, So there are a couple of areas. First, we need to check whether our strategy will align with our objective. And secondly, we need to check all these key indicators, all these matrix, whether they are result-oriented, what kind of people should work together, what kind of key projects will be initiated, and what are the sub-goals to help us achieve the final goals. Thirdly, it should be realistic, should be achievable. For example, there will be quality incidents or events. We hope that we do not have any quality events. But if we set up the unrealistic indicators, then these unrealistic indicators may lead to a negative outcome. For example, some colleagues may say, I cannot achieve this goal. Maybe I need to hide it, I need to cover it, or maybe there is a deviation. It's not about what kind of opportunity we may have to push the improvement. And then we're talking about that maybe which department is not so good. We blame each other. So we must make sure that it's realistic. It will not lead to blaming each other, fingerprinting. Also measurable. So everything is dynamic at a different time area. The quality and there will be some change variables. And also very important thing is we need to check out all these KPIs, whether these KPIs will help improve the company's transparency. For example, we have seen examples and maybe a KPI are not very good and people have concerns and they will hide something, then finally it will not help us achieve a better goal. For the food quality team, we need to consider about 3 levels. So first, we need to work together with management level to have the safe environment, a healthy environment. So when there is any fluctuation, we need to see what is the focus should be. And in terms of precision, what should we do? And so as to help us to come back to the normal level. And then second, we need to have some tools, some methodologies or digital instruments to help us to capture the accurate information so as to facilitate transparency. Thirdly, when we have these key performance indicators, we need to see which indicators will help the transparency. For example, the number of the quality incidents, whether that number will be a good indicator. Also, these the quality events or quality incidents cause the company reputation. So maybe that would be better. So when we set up the KPIs, we must make sure that KPIs are succinct, clear, relevant. It will align with the corporate quality strategy. Next, how Mars is doing. And for Mars, our vision is that every consumption, every consumer is the very happy experience, free from concerns. So based on that, we have 4 strategies to help achieve our vision. So is the quality cultural development and improve the quality capability. Also facilitate the laws, regulations, and compliance. Also, we identify the critical points to facilitate continuous improvement. So these are four major areas. First, culture, second, capability, and the third, compliance, fourth, continuous improvement, which is very similar with the previous speaker's presentation. We have our system, and we have the leadership commitment. Every leader, maybe based on the different function, they have their own quality commitment. And also we have the quality cultural platform. And every year we have a quality cultural week. So on this platform, the good commitment will be shared. And also there is the election of the quality heroes. These quality heroes will be the representatives of the quality. And so people will know what are the desired good quality behavior. We also have something related with quality behavior and to do the publicity education to continuously improve the quality culture. And also we have the quality cultural assessment every year from the company senior management to the bottom grassroots employees. We have the table and the scoring, and we will check different departments to see the quality performance. Also, like the quality competency for different departments, and we identify the different the quality competency development. Every year, we organize the training to improve all the employees, all the necessary quality competencies. We pay attention to the laws, regulations, and also compliance with the mass global requirements. When we set up the KPIs, we also see what are the forward-looking indicators and what are the lagging indicators. In terms of the forward-looking indicators, and we have the engagement survey. It covers quality culture and quality capability evaluation. There is a kind of engagement performance to check out what is the quality culture, what is the quality competency. And also another one is we have mass global quality compliance. And we refer to this compliance and to check out what is the compliance level. And we have external auditors as well as our global safety center, food safety center. So this global food safety center or MAS will have an in-depth auditing on the various departments. So based on these auditing results, we will take that as the leading indicators and to do assessment about the quality management status quo. I think that's quite similar with various business. So we hope that there will be zero consumer level recall for our consumers, and we also hope that the consumer complaints will be reduced year on year. Also, we hope that the product will be on spec for the first time. And finally, for the incident, we will not refer to the incident as the key indicators. We will do the root cause analysis and also check about its impact on the company rather than a number, but we will really try best to be transparent and to understand about the company's current situation. So these are some cases about the KPIs and about how to leverage our KPIs and make continuous improvement. This is quite similar with the previous speaker, Janet. We have a regular monitoring, tracking, evaluation, reviewing, and to have the continuous improvement program, correction program, etc. I would like to share some takeaway with you. So first of all, when we have the KPIs and to have continuous improvement, the one very critical thing is to make sure the data is reliable, accurate. When we have accurate information, it really helps us identify the areas to be improved. We need to think about how to leverage some tools. These tools will help us capture the true data, and also we need to think about the different depths and breadths in different level. Every person, every team, or every department and the whole business will have the KPIs at a different level. So we do the analysis at the different depths and different breadths. When we are doing analysis, we need to focus on the QFS insights and also make sure that all the people are capable, are competent. Then it means we need to organize trainings on employees and also give them tools, help them to have the rational analysis and identify opportunities. Also, finally, KPI is not fixed, it's living, evolving, it's dynamic. It's related with companies' development stages. For example, just to take a production example, maybe this production just put in place. So we need to check out these forward-looking indicators. For a well-established production line, then we need to have a balance between the leading indicators as well as the lagging indicators. And for the lagging indicators, we also have some tricks or tips to help us to have knowledge about the current situation. I will have some cases to share with you. What a kind of the holistic review system to help us improve the quality. Just to take manufacturing as example, I believe that most of you has an experience in the manufacturing. For the manufacturing process, for the KPI for the review, we'll cover the daily and weekly and monthly, quarterly, and semi-annually. So we have different stages, and after different stages, we have different focuses. For example, on daily review for the production, we will focus on these production-related KPIs, or these critical KPIs related with food safety, CCPOP, whether these CCPORP, any abnormality. Weekly, we also have the factory operation management review. We have a production and also quality team and also business team, a commercial team to check out these business operation and production to see the trend, and if there is anything wrong with the trend, we can make a correction. And also we have the periodical review or monthly review, quarterly review. It will be the factory manager team review for that factory and what are the KPIs, what are performance, and to have review, doing the trend analysis to explore the opportunities and also to review the critical projects. If there are some opportunity points, then we will have our sales and the planning platform to get more resources to help the implementation.
And besides this kind of management and quarterly, we have this kind of things for the quality performance. Those key or critical analysis and assessments and evaluation on those things to the same sense. If you need certain kind of support from other departments or extra resources, and we'll follow our management procedures and to achieve new consensus, etc. And every year, will, together with the management team, will see through what you're going to go through all the quality performance all year around, and then we can dig out certain kind of key points, and then to get the kind of quality promise, and also to contribute to our quality improvement. Just as Jeanette mentioned that for the FS KPI, in an era with advanced utilization, how we can utilize those digitalized or digital tools and instruments to better analyze the KPI of food safety. And by means of those digital tools, for example, we can use the same set of kind of number of data to increase our efficiency and to make a quicker response and to identify those opportunities and to promote a better quality performance and improvement. And also in MOS, we're doing these kind of things, and we are not only rely on the internal data or internal kind of numbers to improve our food safety, and we are also working on the collaboration or cooperation with those external data-based kind of companies, and to foresee or to forecast the potential risks landed in certain kind of food safety domain. For example, the heavy metal residues in certain kind of ingredients, as well as what kind of things you may have in potential risks for certain kind of geographical locations. And then in EU and in United States, they are also pay attention to those emerging risks in food safety. So with these tools, we can forecast or foresee certain kind of future risk, and then we can make certain kind of proactive measures to avoid this kind of loopholes in the coming future, so as to safeguard the overall food safety. And that's all for my presentation. And based on my presentation, I'd like to inspire more discussions and debates among you guys. And that is, how can we use the FS KPI, this kind of method, to promote the true or the authentic FS safety management. Thank you, Lily, for your presentation. Thank you for your sharing. Of course, there's a lot of similarity between the Danone and the Moss. And Lily mentioned how to establish this kind of quality framework, from the mission, from the culture, and from different aspects, and for example, communication, engagement, of KPI, and how we can streamline KPIs, and how can we promote sustainability or sustainable development, and how can we use digitalization to enable or to empower the KPI analysis and settings. And I think you have a lot of takeaways from her presentations, and we have some kind of insights from the manufacturers. And the next, then I'd like to change the lens to the audit or to the inspection. So then after the sharing from the manufacturer perspective, so anyone, so before we enter perspective,
Yeah, I have a question about, let's say, many of you talk about the consumer is the boss. The consumer must be at the center of our attention. And I guess it's really important to, let's say, collect their feedback in order to get improvement. That my first question is about how do you handle consumer complaint through consumer care center, whatever. How do you put that into your metrics? The second one is about food safety in design. You said that food safety starts in a design phase, and you talk about right first time. Do you set up connection between what you do as regard food safety and quality in design, and how do you assess that through right first time, and I would like to get briefly, your viewpoint on that. That means, how do you handle consumer feedback, and how do you manage, the right first time approach?
I don't know, Janet or Lily, if you want to answer now, or you can digest a bit. We can have your answer after the perspective sharing from Mark.
Either way, maybe I can answer the first one, and I leave to Lily for the right first time, because I think that is part of Lily's presentation. So in terms of how do we handle consumer complaints, first of all, I think that we have a measure in consumer complaints, but not only consumer complaints. We look at consumer feedback in total, and so complaint is one category. But also nowadays, with the social media, with e-commerce, there are actually a lot of channels that we hear from the consumer, and all of them are important for us. So there are consumers who contact us through hotlines, through social media accounts or official accounts, and those, of course, we not only make sure that we reply to them, we measure our quality of service, how long they need to wait in the line, for those things, but we also, look at them, we investigate, we see whether, whether it's what is causing it, how do we link that back into our food safety management system to make it stronger. So we do periodically look at these data, look at the trends, and look at how do we integrate them. But also, I think what I wanted to say is complaint is a small fraction in what the consumer is saying about your product or your company. There is actually a lot of other comments that they are not contacted you directly, but they're making comments on social media or just about something for the industry or related field. We have a social listening, monitoring, and also with all the comments they leave on e-commerce, and that gives us a lot of information on what do they care about and how we are performing. So in the digital world right now, there are really a lot of channels, and all of them are important that we look at them in a holistic way. So that's all from my answer.
So when you say be preferred, that means you can match that with key performance indicators in order to assess what be preferred means. So that's great.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yeah, thank you, Jeanette. I think Danone has a similar approach with Mars, talking about the consumer complaint. Just as Jeanette mentioned, it's not just we talking about the consumer complaint. It's more important is to understanding the consumer feedback, and also you also mentioned how we can come back to the product design, right? And a consumer feedback is also very powerful. The content to help us understanding how about the product design and whether this meet our consumer and the customer needs. And also even, when we understanding the consumer or customer feedback, and also will generate some insight and talking about distribution, management related insight as well. Yeah, so that's why, for the consumer complaint and the consumer feedback, definitely is part of our regular monitor or, review content as well. And talking about the right first time, and you are right, right first time, normally we're talking about the making stage. We are talking about the design. I think, we should change the target, right? And the design, that is, we should meet the consumer expectation, customer expectation. And how we measure, how we link with the right first time. And so that's, we'll separate the several stage, right? And we base on the consumer and the customer insight understanding to design our product, and to do some, smaller testing and understanding how about our the product, whether it's truly meet our consumer and also customer expectation. And then, we will, to do our the production and based on our the reference time to see, how about the production effectiveness. And after the product launched in our market, and to understanding how about our the true, all the consumer, all their overall feedback, and then to based on the for the every new product we also in Mars we also have the post project review. So we will collect all this kind of the information and to come back to our the product design and to see whether we should drive the product itself some continuous improvement and to truly achieve to meet our the consumer and the customer needs. So that is some holistic way in Mars. Yeah.
I really like your holistic approach. That's great. You have been doing a very outstanding job. Thank you.
谢谢 Lily， 谢谢 Jeanette， 谢谢 Ewart 的 comments 这一块。那前面的话，大家可以看到了从生产企业这一块。
那么 next, we are very glad to give you Mark Kakowski. And he had been working in food industry for more than 3 decades. He's the co-founder of World Auditing. It is the co-founder, just as mentioned, of World Auditing. And furthermore, he's also the old friend of CIFSQ. And he used to work and live in China. So his topic today is how can audits help improve food safety performance and enhance governance.
I guess. Thank you so much, Gigi, for the nice introduction. Always a pleasure to speak in this conference and see my former colleagues or some of my former colleagues on the screen. Hello, Jeanette. Thank you for inviting me to this session and giving World of Auditing the opportunity to share how audits can help indeed improve food safety performance and governance. Every year, hundreds, if not more, hundreds of thousands of food safety audits are being conducted around the world. Does anyone believe that companies are spending so many human and financial resources for a low return on investment and simply because they have to? Is food safety auditing a low value added activity that only assesses compliance because companies have to in order to do business? Really, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'd like to talk today about how it does, in fact, add value and how it does improve governance. So food safety auditing is not a mandatory and boring activity with low added value. Food safety auditing is not an activity that only assesses compliance, and food safety auditing is not an activity done just to get a license to operate. I think we heard from the previous speakers the importance of food safety auditing in general. I'm going to elaborate on that and take the perspective of those who are delivering audits externally and internally. So in fact, it is indeed an activity that provides value, and our experience shows that auditing adds value when certain conditions are being met. And we have worked with several internal and external audit organizations and have concluded that providing value through audits occurs only when these audit organizations do several things in a consistent manner. Okay, these leading audit organizations, whether they are internal or external, they analyze first the context in which they operate. It's extremely important for them to understand who their stakeholders are, what are their needs and expectations, and how these needs and expectations can impact the performance of the audit program. What we see also is that these leading audit organizations have an identity. They have values, they have a mission, they have a vision, and they cascade down this within the audit organization. They have leaders. They have leaders who set the vision, the mission, and translate that into programs, strategic goals, and strategic programs. They allocate resources, and when I talk about resources, I don't mean only the food safety auditors that needs to be, attracted, retained, and developed internally, but also the information, the knowledge, the technology that you can leverage through your audits. These resources, they design an audit process, which is core element into the framework that you see on the screen. The audit process that starts with the objectives of the audit program, how the audit process is being set up, implemented from preparation of an audit, execution of an audit, to reporting. Audit organizations have themselves KPIs, and it comes back to the topic of the discussion today. They measure their performance. They have KPIs to measure the performance so that they can take actions to continuously improve the value they deliver through audits. World of Auditing has defined a protocol and a framework, and we use that to assess, in fact, audit organizations, whether they're internal or external, in order to see how well they are prepared to deliver value through audits. Now, leading audit organization within big companies, and we heard already two of them, go beyond assessing simply compliance. And I would like to give you three examples. We see three leading practices that we see. Audit organization within big companies, they leverage the capability, the expertise of the food safety audit team in mergers and acquisitions and supply-based decision. Selection of a co-manufacturer, selection of a new suppliers, through leveraging expertise in due diligence audit. And I will come back to that later. I'm going to deep dive a little bit more in this. So due diligence audit is something that you can leverage within your organization. We talk, and I heard Yves asking the question about, food safety by design. Organizations use food safety audits to do a health check of their innovation cycle. Is food safety really embedded into my innovation cycle? Food safety audits can reveal that pre-launch or post-launch. I'm going to discuss that later also. And then, unfortunately, sometimes issues occur, and food safety auditors have an important role to play in troubleshooting. I'm going to discuss that also later on. Now, let me come back to due diligence audit. I see there a big opportunity because there are some uncomfortable truths that I would like to discuss with you. And these truths are the following. CEOs of food industry organizations know, obviously, that they have an important challenge to tackle, and they need to put the focus on providing safe food and protect the consumer. But meanwhile, the reality is that most companies today devote less than 2% of their mergers and acquisition due diligence efforts into food safety. They are very good in assessing commercial, financial, but food safety, not that much. And I'm not inventing these numbers. These numbers were made available in a report that was published by SCAFE in collaboration with Accenture in 2018. Other surveys were conducted, and I would like to share with you one that was performed in 2019 by Deloitte, revealing that 40% of survey respondents in that particular survey say that half of their mergers and acquisition deals fail to generate the value they were expecting. And in that same survey, 23% say that it is because the due diligence was not performed adequately, one of the key reasons. And this is happening at the same time where you all know that, we have alert notification. If you compare the numbers, 2020 in Europe rose by 22% compared to 2019, and the same apply in the US with the reports issued by the FDA and USDA. So there is an opportunity here to leverage food safety audits in the space of mergers and acquisition. And this is a very simple model that illustrates how due diligence works in leading food and beverage companies. The key element here is to be really proactive and identify the risk as soon as possible, especially starting already at the pre-selection phase. During the due diligence assessment, which I mentioned typically is very good in terms of commercial and financial, food safety audits have a role to play. Getting documentation from the company we would like to acquire, evaluating that documentation, going on site, performing audits, executing the audits and issuing reports so that a decision at the end of the due diligence audit can be taken with the food safety performance in mind. So this is where we believe food safety auditing can add an additional value to organization. It is a key critical element in mergers and acquisition, which is often not done properly, let's say. Now, to the point we discussed, pre and post-launch reviews, key role before a launch, key roles after a launch. And this launch could be a new project. It could be also a new initiative, a productive initiative, but all this initiative follow typically the stage and gate process, during which, first of all, an idea is being discovered, an idea is being further defined, a design is being implemented so that a new product is being created, and then this product is put into a manufacturing environment so that we can deliver this product into the market. There are different models available, but these 4 steps are key common denominators. Food safety audits can play a role in this, in evaluating whether indeed food safety was embedded properly into all these stages, whether you can do that before a launch, and we talk then about pre-launch reviews. So you do a food safety audit before you put the product into the market, and you potentially uncover opportunities to further improve your processes and your product. You can do that also after the launch. And you can do that after the launch because you want to improve and learn from what you did. So you would do a post-launch review. Sometimes, unfortunately, also you put products into the market and you have some issues. You can do also a post-launch review, food safety audit, to uncover what went wrong so that you can put actions in place so that it doesn't happen again in the future. Leading food and beverage organizations leverage their food safety audits at that steps, and I've seen food and beverage companies doing that by design. They have incorporated pre and post-launch review in their normal audit activities, in their normal internal audits. And the last one I wanted to share with you is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is something you do, unfortunately, you have to do because something went wrong, okay? And here I would like to discuss briefly the value of the expertise of an auditor. This expertise can be leveraged into a team that is being assembled when something goes wrong. And the cycle you see there on the screen is typical corrective action program that you would have to put in place with a problem identification first, and an evaluation of the impact of the problem you are facing. You're gonna do as step number 2, an investigation of the issue. You're gonna obviously at step number 3, investigate and do a root cause analysis to see what are the causes of the issue before going to the next step, which will be design an action plan, implement an action plan, and then finally verify indeed whether your corrective action plan was effective. This is very familiar to you. This is a traditional cycle of a corrective action plan. But my point is that very often we forget that a food safety auditor has tremendous expertise and experience that you can leverage into this circle, into this cycle. So the recommendation here is when you face issue, don't forget to include into your team, into your troubleshooting auditors, because they can bring a very nice view on the problem based on their previous experience and complement the team in there. We have seen global leading food and beverage companies leveraging the auditors in such kind of project, which helps also to retain auditors in their function. And we talk a lot about auditor scarcity, but making the audit function interesting, this is a way to do so. It's all about perception. I believe food safety auditing, and these are the key takeaways I would like you to take, is a key program providing added value, provided you put the right context in place. It is an activity going beyond evaluating compliance to a standard, to internal requirements. You can leverage your auditors beyond that, and definitely it's a plan of action, improving food safety performance, as we heard from previous speakers. But at the end, it's all about setting the right audit program and the related KPIs. Having KPIs in place applies to audit organization. Audit organization need to put process in place, measure the performance of their processes so that they can improve themselves. And I would like to thank you and mention that World of Auditing helps audit organization to improve, enhance the value they provide to the business. So for further information on what we do and who we are, please visit our website. And thank you very much. Happy to answer any question you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for very good and very insightful. Mark 这边的话，其实跟我们讲了这个 food audit 这一块。
Well, about food auditing and how to improve the auditing on the food industry, and also about food and safety governance and due diligence. For example, the pre-marketing and post-marketing and the troubleshooting, etc. Very clear. Actually, we have a lineup of 3 speakers. For example, and they really 100 years of experience. For example, the combined together, it's about more than 100 years of experience to share with us. Okay, and we also feel very honored to have our service providers, about the diversity of the food safety, how to improve the food safety. Stan Young, Vice President of Food Safety Quality, Starbucks. So it's about diversify food safety measures for improving performance. So actually, because of COVID-19, I really lost contact with you for a long time, and in this room, I feel a little bit nervous. And I have heard the previous speakers sharing with us a lot of insights, and that's great. I'm from Starbucks. So FMCG, Danone, the Mars are totally different with our perspective. I would like to share my perspective about KPI setting, and also the rationale of the KPI, and how to make the best use of KPI.
播放以后，我是不是共享屏幕？一直在共享。
对，现在正在共享。我刚才已经共享了。
对。
然后这个就可以翻译。
可能是只想了这部分，没有这部分，所以你要切那个。
对，我这边共享这个。我是共享了，但是稍等一下，我把这。我们这边是它的这台是，但是它那个上面没有，因为没有动嘛。稍等一下，我退出一下。没错，确实。
有一些想要有技术故障。
Please bear with us. Some technical kind of,
我那台电脑操作一下，稍等一下。
其实也是，应该是不是这方，或者没有，不是，就是只看双屏的那个，对，这样的，这样对，是没有，很奇怪的，这个。OK， 我你们投票。共享屏幕。对，就是那个这样子。
这是我这个可以。
不播放就好了。哎，对，我曾经的这个，应该这样。Finally, but
finally, I cannot roll back. Sorry for that. So while dealing with the technical glitches here, so I'd like to say something here. In the previous speakers have mentioned about the KPIs and its contribution to the development of the enterprises, and also they mentioned about the principles and behind that. And so I'd like to move, thorough. So how can we find those rational kind of recommendations when we're setting up KPIs? We are a food catering franchise, and so we have different kind of structures from those food manufacturers like Mars and Danone. And you can see this is a brief introduction about Starbucks, and we have 60,000 partners or staff, and we also have over 6,000 stores or shops in China. So there's a lot of deviations, a lot of differences among them. So how can we use this kind of reasonable and rational kind of system, be it the risk assessment system or the KPI system, or be it in the wording system, to manage well, to manage, how to motivate the engagement of all the 60,000 employees. And in the context of retailing, I think this is quite important. And with so a big number like this, the deviation is quite big. And by 2025, we're going to have 9,000 stores. And then in that case, we have another layer of challenges. So in this kind of expansion, and yes, will be a very interesting change. The they will, our staff, our the employees will become younger, and the moderator had mentioned that for the previous three speakers, they have over 100 years of working experience, and then for the coming future, we are going to have a much younger kind of personnel and staff. For example, the Y generation or the Z generation, the millennial generation, and so their kind of ideas, their kind of values are quite different, or their kind of initiative, or their ownership or stewardship, it will be very different from the old generations. And then the sense of responsibilities will be quite different. So I don't call it a generation gap, but I say there are something different there. So how can we measure this kind of systematic kind of things? So digitalization or digital tool is quite important. But it's not only to make something offline or to into an online kind of platform, just as mentioned by Lily. And the ultimate kind of goal is to link all the digital island together and to output certain kind of insights for the enterprise and for better performance. And then another part is very important as well. There's early warning or do certain kind of forecast or prediction, be it the data of recruitment and etc. And we do not want to know about the historical data or historical situation. And how can we use those legacy data to make prediction and forecast? That is the key. You can see our management supports the investments into you can see food safety, and you can see the digitalization of food safety have been prioritized, and the renovation or the upgrade is not only about the data recording or data report kind of system. It will be a kind of holistic system, and they are connecting all the connecting the stores and with the headquarters, etc. And here's a advertisement of our company, and we'd like to be the most trusted brand on food safety and quality in China, and to protect brand, and to also to promote trustworthiness, and to promote this kind of credibility. And we are making constant investment and strengthen our management system and we need this kind of brand to tell a story about the engagement. And so let's go back to the retail store. In many cases, KPIs is this kind of audit is the most important kind of KPI system for them, and that they should be risk-based or risk-oriented. It should be multidimensional. We need to know about those risk related kind of factors, and whether those factors is linked to with risk or not, and then is food safety cultural. And see, this is a KPI settings and for a good food safety system, and then the demonstrating food safety leadership, and then the commitment at all levels, and then the mindset of food safety, and then the food safety accelerance via new risk framework. And it's not hard for us to discover or to review those factors, and how can we feedback, or how can we make them to contribute to the improvement of the KPIs or to the behaviors. And so in Starbucks, or at Starbucks, you can see, previously audit is the most important part, and besides audit for a single store, it will have different kind of management, like the water kind of check, the water inspection, and the other kind of inspections and audits. And the KPI are detached. The KPI setting is detached. So they have different kind of measures, and then we need to integrate it into a unified kind of framework. You can see these are the food safety relevant kind of things, and we put another kind of element into it. That is the people stability, and I just mentioned. And with the fast expansion, we have a lot of the younger generation working with us or for us. So with this kind of factor, if you see a mature kind of store manager, or a kind of mature staff or employee in a store, and they will have a very stable operation on food safety. If you change kind of workstation in another kind of store, and with the turnover rate, or with this kind of newly added kind of personnel, or if the frequency is too high, then it will influence performance, and then we'll integrate more things, and whether you have the heating kind of equipment, and what's the traffic of your store, and a 1,000 traffic store and a 500 people store, and this 100 traffic store, they will have different kind of KPIs, and then what is the value? What is the true value of those online comments on different platforms and social medias? Then we need to downsize all the things, and with the utilization of digital intelligence, we need to downsize the factors. For example, to cut those manual or people related kind of factors. For example, we have some peers or counterparts in the food catering industry, and you have in a lot of factory, and you have for example, the monitoring kind of system. For example, whether the chef, for example, wearing hats or the facial masks, and whether there's mouse or this bugs or this kind of insects in your kind of stores. in the from the deviation to the improvement, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. So we do not need to do the audits or the monitoring there. So we do not need to do the things via this kind of manual kind of behavior.
Actually, the system can play its role and so as to minimize the error, human error. So finally, it's about mindset and awareness and auditing, and the auditing will be narrow and smaller. In the past, about 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or a couple of days, and you just control the human variable, and then it will be only half a day, and it's 1/3 of the total in the past. So this is really the system solution. So this is about the initial originally. This is about audit on-site and water, ice testing, drink water, swab, dishwater, and also we see the human rotation, where stability is turnover, and also the rodent, cockroaches, the environment impact. We will have the different areas. And then we have the risk matrix. So there will be different the perspectives in this matrix. We want to make a conversion from the audit to the risk. It's not your pass or not pass. So even maybe you pass, but you still have some problem. You still have a risk. So another is corrective action. We need to make a shift from the corrective action to support. Corrective action should be the honor, and that you need to take action, and also support is about other people give you support to help you to make the correction. Not only yourself, but also you need to other people to help you. About multiple function support based on the different level of the risk, and also based on the different performance to give it more support. That's about transformation. One important basis for that transformation, it is not based on only one single indicator. It's about risk. It is related with the risk level, and also based on the different risk level, there will be different support level. For example, it will contact for even so that's about the different proportion, different risk proportion. We have the digital, the revamp, and also the kind of backstage data to help the optimization across the different proportion, different area. Okay. Let's talk about the risk approach, and also in a multiple dimension. And finally, it will be culture. So you have the multi-dimension, and also you need to have a culture. The people when we find the way around, and even you have a very good system. So, but if you have a culture, then you don't need this system. For Starbucks, and we have a lot of cultural activities, so that we try to avoid the mechanical like training. We want just permissible, like this kind of culture is everywhere. We are immersed in this culture atmosphere. Sometimes we go to Starbucks. Some people, 20 years old, they are very dynamics, and they talk about something which is beyond me. For example, young again, this kind of a game, and they talk about something which is beyond myself. They are some kind of a young generation and talks that we need to have the different ways to help promote. it's about whether you are old or young, but it's more about your psychological age. So this is what we're doing, and there is a video. So I just skipped this video. So finally, you see, it's my conclusion. It's a point made by Su Dongpo. Or actually, you don't need to care about the drizzling and actually you should sing a song and walk slowly. Sometimes maybe there is kind of a firefighting emergency or various kind of noises around you. Actually, you don't need to listen to these noises. You just move steadily forward, and you just focus on the priorities and the creative values to the brands. Finally, so we can be very cool-headed, and we will be aware of the key risks. So there are some kind of the volatilities, that's normal, but you still have to be hold on yourself, be cool-minded. For Starbucks, we are in China, for China. We do hope we can make further efforts to promote our industry's open and core governance, and also increase our general public's cognition, and make our Starbucks the most trustworthy brand for the food safety and quality management. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. Thank you, Stan. Wonderful culture and very culture-based presentation. So based on your presentation, we know the vision, Starbucks' vision. It will be a very trustworthy company in terms of food safety. Okay, so after Starbucks, then we would like to, have you ever gone to the Disneyland or Disney Resort in Shanghai? Have you gone to that? Yeah. We feel very honored to have Fang Jingyi, Mary Fang from Shanghai Disney Resort. Oh, it's not Starbucks. It's not Starbucks. It's the Shanghai Disney Resort. Disney Resort and Disney Park. So Mary Fang will share with us global experience and a Chinese practice. Now let's warmly welcome Mary. Okay.对，然后点那个。然后你到那个 room 在哪里？
在这儿，我在点那个，底下有个。
哪里？那离开吧。
我知道，对，
可以说多少话？
对，可以。
可以吗？好的。我是来自上海迪士尼度假区的梅瑞芳方君怡，负责。
I'm Merieux and responsible for the food safety. There are 3 parts. One is a brief introduction about the catering at the Shanghai Disney Resort, and also about the internal evaluation system, and also awards and recognition. For the Starbucks, Mars, Danone, I would like to introduce to you Disney. So many people ask me about food safety. I graduated from university. My major is food engineering. I'm working in the Shanghai Disney Resort. Why Disney Resort need a food safety manager? I just introduced to you about the supply chain in Disney. So what are the important parts for the food safety in Disneyland? There is a Disney Resort and also 2 hotels, themed hotels. In the hotel, and there is a central kitchen. So a table service restaurant and a quick service restaurant. In this restaurant, you will be able to order food. You may enjoy quite a long dining experience, or sometimes like a ritual, or maybe very appropriate for the wedding ceremony or the courtship, etc. Also, very important is a fast food restaurant. Many visitors, they go there and go to the Disneyland. The major purpose is to enjoy the entertainment. So they take a food, they just want to do that as quickly as possible, and then they go to next facility after finishing their food. So we have the fast food restaurant in various areas. The time is very short. The quality is also standard. That's the previous animation. This is central kitchen. The central kitchen will provide that service for you. And also kiosks and the food carts. So this is like you just cook now and then you sell it on the spot. There is no kind of seating inside. You just take away, like the popcorn and also like other small dessert or snacks. Yeah. Also seen hotels and also Disney Town food and beverage and operation. I'm also responsible for Disney Town food and beverage operation. We have many international operators there, so as to provide a holistic, totally different dining experience. For example, you buy the ticket, then you can come back and forth from the gate and to the Disney Town. For the Disney Town, there are 12 to 20. There are some small, and also there are some large, including the Chinese style and the Western style. You know, in the Dazhong Dianping app, it will say, for example, they set up a new outlet at Disney Town. So we work together to promote their brand. Therefore, we will also have a food safety management for these outlets in the Disney Town. We have some standard. Yeah. This is the standard is inconsistent with our internal these kind of hotels or the kitchens or restaurants.
So we are applying the same kind of food safety systems, etc. for both our own kind of business and the tenants in the park. So you all know about what do I do. So do not give me the big question mark for why Disneyland has this kind of food safety department. So at Disneyland, so at this Shanghai Disney Resort, so what's your expectation on food when you visit our resort? For example, those very cute kind of food, and you can take very good selfie or picture with it, and to put them in your moments. And then for Avatar, whether you have those bluish drink with the theme of Avatar. So when we provide our customers or the visitors, with our foods, and we'd like to give them those characteristic kind of food. So we have put forward about 6,000 different kind of dishes or foods or choices. So you can see the capacity or the capability of our food development as well as the operation. So I'd like to play a video clip, who developed all the 6,000 menu items. And then I'm going to talk about the KPIs and what kind of people will be applied to those KPI systems. So please help me play the video.
开始播放。
My name is Philip. I'm the culinary director of the Shanghai Disney Resort. Well, I've worked in many regions in the world, on the 4 continents. The experience I had before might be good to apply some of these in our park. Since the grand opening so far, our F&B department has served about 6,000 different products, which is an amazingly large quantity of products. But it shows that we continuously innovate and that we keep putting the guest at the center of our interest. There are very different, very broad backgrounds in our team and a lot of talent. For different concepts, we need different kinds of food. So we try to combine those talents to get them together.
我叫潘佳，我是来自上海迪士尼度假区的一名助理副厨师长。我觉得迪士尼餐饮对我而言呢，就是从故事中来到故事中去。从故事中来呢，就是我们大多数的餐饮设计都是来自于迪士尼的故事。有一次呢，我在园区里买了一个可餐的毛绒玩具，我打开它上面的故事书一看，哎，这上面有一个松饼，我就在想能不能把它融入到我们可餐的甜品上面，然后我就设计了一款可餐的松饼。那我们还有一款琳达贝尔的生日蛋糕，就来自于故事当中琳达贝尔去森林里探险，棉花糖制作了白云的元素融入了这款蛋糕，让大家会有一种来到大自然呼吸森林新鲜空气的感觉。这也是我们用美食把游客带到故事中去的一种体现。
我叫陈佳，我来自玩具总动员酒店，我是一位副厨师长。我们会提供儿童餐、素食餐，并且尽可能的满足游客在用餐上的特别需求。对于儿童餐的配方，我们都按内部标准进行主要营养素含量的评估。我们的素食，它的口味层次很丰富，它的选料也很多。 对于不同游客的特别需求，我们首先还是要推荐他适合的菜，比如说他过敏的，比如说他细口的。
对虾过敏。对，我对虾过敏。
我们要了解客人的具体情况后，给他适当的调整菜肴。
我们的厨师沟通一下，看能不能给您提供到。好的，
好，稍等。
我是董岩，上海迪士尼度假区资深行政总厨。我们的餐厅多，地方多，几乎每家餐厅都有。食品安全在我们工作中是我们重中之重，我们公司有的吧也有标准要求，我们最后的想法是，就是说哪一个标准高，我们才来。最开始闻到蔬菜各式的芳香味道。最近上海迪士尼获得了 FSSC 22000和 CCP 双认证体系的证书，我非常高兴，说明我们的安全工作。
I challenge ourselves all the time to ideas and trying new things, new procedures, new ways of cooking.
从故事中来到故事中去，这样才会有一种沉浸式的体验。
在度假区，我们每天会迎来各个地方来的大朋友和小朋友，我们会精心为他准备多样性的菜肴。
安全是我们的主任，有了食品安全，我们整个大树才能茁壮成长。是我们的树干，然后丰沛多面，迎合不同人的需求，像我们的树枝是越和不爱的。
And you can see from the last slide, this is not a video about food safety and about in last week when we celebrate the Chef Day, the International Chef Day. So we just record this kind of daily work of our chef or catering kind of team. So every time our executive chef will advocate food safety. This is something that we'd like to convey. So we are going to ask the chef to implement food safety, and the food safety is implemented by our first line kind of staff and employees, so as to would like to convey this good results to our customers and with quality food. So every time I'm quite happy with his advocacy. So we can see the culture of food safety in our company and in our city and in our industry. And then next, in the what is the assessment and the measuring system in or at Disney, Shanghai Disney Resort? So please move to the next slide. And I have participated a lot of food safety forums everywhere, and the chefs is a very important or very famous kind of system, and which has been implemented for 20 to 30 years, just like in technology, just as the computer system. It has been iterated for several times or constantly. So use certain kind of thermometers as well as the probe, as well as this kind of system, and it can replace this kind of paperwork, the paper record of for example, contamination of those food fraud and etc. So in the global wide, and when we're talking about food safety, we'll start the local work with chefs. It has the full name of computerized HACCP for enhanced food safety. So it is a tailor-made system, for different restaurants, for different kind of catering booths, from the processing, from the food processing, from the sourcing of the raw materials, and for the cooking so for different dishes and for different kind of items, it will have a pre-recorded kind of data and for a video and into the system, and in their case, and it will be convenient for the on-site staff, for example, chefs, the people to do the check, and so you do not need a dedicated ceramic probe. This system, you can see this device has a Bluetooth kind of thermometer embedded in it. So as long as there's a deviation in the recording, it will pop up this kind of correction procedure, and to ask the staff to follow this kind of procedure. As long as they can 100% follow this procedure, there won't be mistakes, etc. Be it horizontally or vertically or laterally. This is a very important kind of system for the HACCP or HACCP kind of management. So every year, every month, and every week, we are going to analyze those deviation kind of reason, as well as the kind of the degree. So we use this unified kind of system in Shanghai, Paris, and Hong Kong, China, and with the comparison of this kind of catering related data, and how many corrections have been made within 1 year, and what is the reason behind that, and with a result, for a result with a higher rate of deviation, whether this kind of deviation has certain kind of available reference or lesson to other kind of results, and then to proactively set up a kind of early warning or kind of prevention kind of system. So this is the SHIP system. And next is the lab validation, and with the procedure or process management, and by means of the internal and external and checks or validation, by means of this kind of quick kind of test, the facts, the validation of the facts, for example, for the raw materials, for the semi-finished in the goods, and for other kind of the spices, etc. And we will have periodic validation and the check. And together with the Pudong CDC, we carry out this kind of inspection. So we have you can see from the video, and you can buy a large range of kind of products, from beverage, from to the cold dish to the hot dish, and to dairy products, etc. So the Pudong District CDC and placed the Shanghai Disney Resort as a inspection point, and they would do this kind of flight check, flight inspection, as well as those announced inspection. So we are all experts in this domain. So and those standards are complied from those historical or this legacy kind of experience. So we are very honored to be the checkpoint for Pudong CDC as a long-term kind of partner. And you can see this is the internal and external validation, and with the process control and the validation, and then is audit. This is the scoring card or dashboard. And after the presentation of Mars, Danone, and the Starbucks, and you can see we follow the same or similar kind of the procedures of this kind of indicators.
About the 5 dimensions, we have the periodical review, and also we have an internal audit as well as external audit. There will be the cross-checking so as to avoid, for example, the aesthetic fatigue, or sometimes when they conduct auditing for so long time, maybe sometimes they ignore. They just close one eye, and etc. We just want to avoid that. We also involve this third party, and also I would change some companies just of course, we invite these auditors with the catering background to have some kind of an unannounced check. And we will do the comparison of the external auditing with internal auditing to do the calibration to just calibrate our internal day-to-day operation, whether to see that that's very effective. Why want to invite external auditors? Because they will bring some leading practice to our company, or maybe in other auditing procedure, maybe they find some problems or issues, they can provide some suggestions to us. So these suggestions will be valuable, and so we just want some kind of outside eyes to help us to make a further improvement. Last year, our central kitchen, also Barbarossa, Bounty, and China Disney Hotel, we got China HACCP and FSSC 22000 double certification. Certification is a very critical leading indicator. When we have the certification, actually, it's not that we want to acquire the certification. It's just not just to do the certification for the sake of a certification. Actually, the certification is just to check whether our inner system is effective or not. We have an external system to help us to check out our internal performance indicator, whether this is workable or not. At the Disney Town, we will have the periodical evaluation and inspection for these staff, and also ask them to have the correction, including short-term correction and long-term correction. They need to do analysis to see whether what's the reason for the deviation, and also what kind of resources they will leverage and to correct these problems, and so as to avoid the recurrence of the issue. This is for example, we'll go there. It's not only the food safety, it's about bigger safety. When in the Disney parks or the resorts, when we're talking about the safety performance, there will be 5 keys. This is also related with Disney culture. There are 5 keys, like safety. Safety is the #1 priority. We have the safety evaluation for all the staff, not only the food supply department, also for other departments like the operation department or the entertainment facilities, and we have the scoring, and there will be leading indicators as well as lagging indicators. So we have 5 leading indicators and only 2 lagging indicators. We hope we will be continuous improvement, and with that mindset, we will educate people like safety scoring card. It's not what we want to do. It is to identify the opportunity to have the continuous and sustainable improvement. Mars also mentioned the hero or champion, safety champion. We also have safety champions and the heroes about certification recognition for the people. For the safety hero and champions, it's not referred to the scores. It's some people, they identify the safety concerns and then also they correct these safety concerns, and so they will be safety heroes. They are really the champions. They take initiative to identify the the loopholes or hazards. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Let's see whether you have gone to the Disney event, the Disney resort. I think that it's quite worthwhile for you to go there, and also the safety, the performance, wonderful. So Mary just explained to us why there is a safety department in Disney. Now we are quite close to the end of our presentation. We have the manufacturers. We also do it because e-commerce is also very important, and therefore we're very honored to have the representative for e-commerce. Alibaba local life service company, the senior food safety expert Wei Shuai, and he worked not only in Alibaba but also with some experience with an Agricultural Science Technology Institute. Also, can you hear me? Thank you very much. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. So the experts, dear participants, good afternoon. I will spend 20 minutes to share with you the exploration or digitalization to improve food safety in Alibaba local consumer service. With Danone or the Starbucks compared with other companies. And our journey in the food safety is very short compared with these famous brands. Also, we are very new. So in the industry, we just like treat ourselves as a primary school student. These companies, they are famous brand names. So we only make some exploration on the digitalization to improve food safety in Alibaba local consumer services. We are here to learn from you. By communication, we want to learn more from you. So first of all, Alibaba local consumer service business segment. You are very familiar with Alibaba Group. Forget about Alibaba local consumer service business segment. Maybe you're not so familiar. Or it was founded in October 2018, and that's very young, just a 4-year-old. For example, you can see like this is a takeaway, but we define ourselves an e-commerce platform, not only in takeaway, but also we have the fresh food, FMCG, flowers, medicines, also this delivery, an instant delivery, also the map, traffic map, also travel, and also Kobe. This is a quite integrated live platform by the mobile technology. We are focusing on the to home and to the destination to help consumers to get various services related with their life. We call it some kind of the near factory e-commerce, and it's different with the far e-commerce. We provide mobility service like taxi hailing or the traveling destination, etc. So in that service, Ele.me is the online catering service. Is related with food safety. That's a very important part of our business segment. This is the company journey. In 2008, Ele.me was established in Shanghai. I was a couple of university students set up this company, covering about dozens of outlets close to the school, and then it grew rapidly. Then in 2014, Ele.me acquired Baidu Waimai. Then 2018, Ele.me was acquired by Alibaba and Kobe. So Ele.me and merged with Koubei, and there is the local business, and through the internal integration currently, it covers 5 segments. So the local life in 2000 plus cities, it has business, and 2.8 million active shoppers, and about 1.15 million deliverymen, and annual transition 370 million merchants users. The year-on-year growth of orders is 35%. You can see the growth is really fast. Ele.me is a very important part for the local life. This year we have new slogan. So in the past is about when you love it, it come. But now we say you just order it, it will deliver to you timely. Okay, you can see that we are improving our awareness on the food safety. We made the correct judgment on the e-commerce landscape, and as you know that this e-commerce competition is really tough, but it's not very fierce because there are only a few competitors in the field. But if you make a mistake, you will be eliminated. The food safety is really very important precondition to maintain the long-term and healthy development. So that's the importance of the food safety. Next, I would like to introduce to you about the food safety framework. So this is the overall framework for the food and catering. We put our user requirements and match with our merchant supply, and then we have the logistic delivery, and we have the platform. We link that 3 together. On the right side, we pay attention to the protection of our consumers' interests. We have the food safety, liability insurance, and 24-hour customer service, external risk early warning, and etc. Make sure that every order will be secured, will be guaranteed, that minimize the loss may be caused by the food safety incident. We have this insurance model. This model is wonderful, and if there is anything goes wrong, there will be third-party insurance payment. And also another is an external risk early warning system. That's also innovation based on the bigger data. For example, when a store receives a lot of complaints from the consumers, when the frequency of the complaints reaches a certain threshold, then the early warning will be triggered. So actually everything is based on the backstage algorithm. So they will call all the consumers related with the product. For example, check out the health situation of the consumer, and to collect more information feedback to identify these risk factors, just like the screening or the close contacts, and just screen these close contacts and be able to avoid the proliferation of the virus. And we also focus on the people, equipment, and the procedure, and to work on the internal flow. On the commercial side, we have the intelligent recognition system. Also, we have the inspection. We will push the merchants to pay attention to the hygiene, to the sanitation, we also have a big data analysis to check about the performance. Also, we will check about the complaints from the consumers to see whether there is a high risk area to have a classified management on the merchants.
And for the platform itself, and based on our algorithm, and we have set up a threshold of access for the merchants, and we have established a dedicated kind of people who are responsible for food safety, and we will also have this kind of periodic flight check, etc. So, and that is the kind of the spot check, for of the samples, from the third parties. And with our exploration of the food safety system, and I'd like to resonate with today's topic or theme, that is the food safety KPIs. And so, to be a platform, and what is the key performance indicators for us? So we need to know about the targets and the audience, or as well as of this kind of online platform food delivery. And someone said that your ultimate client or customer is those merchants. You need to help them improve their performance or improve their kind of outcomes or service. So we need to work with the governmental side as with the industry to improve or to lift the whole industry, so as to turn over this kind of cliche of a lot of problems in the food delivery industry. So for the customers, for the kind of recipient, they belong to the user kind of aspect. So ultimately, we think that for all the services I just mentioned, for all this our customer, all the users, the platform users should be the foundation for setting so many KPIs. So whether they are satisfied with the service and the products provided by the platform, and as well as the merchant, that is the most important part. And how can we how can we secure this constant satisfactory? And first, we need to cut the problems, of food safety from our platforms, and for all the food safety practitioners, and we cannot safeguard 100% safety. So sometimes we cannot avoid this kind of the risks or this kind of incidents. To besides to reduce the incidence of the food safety incidents, and we also need to improve the ability of off-sales food safety services. And this is the two very important long-term KPI. And then they can only be implemented by those short-term KPIs. And you can see on the very right hand of this slide, you can see to cut the frequency of those incidents. And the first is the governance on those high risk merchants. And first we need to identify those high risk merchants. And for those for those ones who are having very serious food safety risks or incidents, and we're going to put them offline or put them down from our list. And then we also can provide this kind of training and education to the merchants so as to improve the ability. So in short, we will get rid of those problematic kind of merchants, and also to coach or to provide this kind of service or improvement toolbox, for those good merchants. We should have this kind of targeted kind of governance. And with the capability from governmental side and from the enterprises, and we need to carry out governance on those key kind of sectors of this industry. And for those key issues screened out by big data, and then we can carry out certain kind of inspection, which is a very good deterrent. And for example, we have done this kind of projects in Wuhan, and the rate has been reduced from 3 out of 10,000 to 2 out of 10,000, which is a very significant kind of improvement. And with AI as well as other kind of equipment, and we have very good deterrent as well as this kind of monitoring on the kitchen improvement. And for those restaurants with transparent kitchen, they have lower incident rate, comparing to those who has no this kind of kitchens. So in the early stage of after the camera mounted or installed, and we're going to see a drastic kind of drop of the food safety incidents. And every year, and for those season-based or season-oriented kind of food risk, we will invite certain kind of experts and specialists to carry out this kind of coaching or training kind of courses for the merchants, so as to also to cut those risk. And then we have this label, and to avoid certain kind of risk during delivery. For example, those misunderstanding between the consumers and the merchants, so as to cut the complaint from the delivery stage. And then for the for good after sales service, and it has two very important parts. And if you can, whether we can make compensation in a very timely manner, in a good manner, and with certain sum or certain amount, and then now, and if we can make it very acceptable or good kind of compensation, and then this kind of thing can be resolved in a very good kind of manner. So, and as a platform, we have a lot of orders, and so we have established kind of direct system with the insurance company. So within 0 minutes, the compensation in cash will be paid back into the customers, and the maximized time will only be like 2 hours. And next, based on the short-term KPIs, so I'd like to give you, I would like to walk you through one by one. First is the staged governance, by means of the big data, Alibaba big data technology expertise. We have formed this kind of digital governance or management system of the merchants. In the first, we like to label those merchants based on certain kind of indicators. For example, the public opinions, and the food, other kind of indicators, complaints, etc., as well as the complaints from the governmental side, and the comments on the orders and we have this big data analysis on all this data, and then to grab all the signal and all the label from that, and then we carry out the data analysis. And according to the sense of the seriousness of the incident, and we will categorize them into different dimension. From level 1 to level 3 in terms of emergency, we have this kind of daily, for example, daily response. And now the data model has a high precision of over 90%. And with this kind of engine, we have the iteration of this kind of update frequency of about every 2 hours. It will be updated or iterated. And we have this kind of food safety. I just mentioned this kind of pyramid, and to know about the dynamic food safety performance from the merchants. and which will determine their kind of food safety risk characteristics, and then we are going to form a profile of food safety for those merchants, which will be updated every 24 hours. And from the digital platform and to the governance, as well as those punishment. At the punishment, they have to pass certain kind of training and test to get back to their positions again. So after punishment, just as I mentioned, you have to receive certain kind of education or course, and then you can go back to your position or go back to the system. And then it's the food safety risk management through authority and platform cooperation. And I would like to share the data with the authority or with the governmental side, and you can see this is a digital monitoring dashboard of food safety, and in a real-time manner, we can showcase those data of food safety with our governmental partners. And in that case, and we can strengthen the targeted kind of monitoring in certain kind of areas, and we have achieved very good kind of results, and we have done certain kind of pilots in some geographical locations. And if you are interested in this part, you are welcome to approach us, and we can talk about our collaboration and the cooperation in the coming future. With the help of assistance with this and support, and we have cut down the incidence rate from 10 out of 10,000 to over a little bit over 2 out of 10,000. Encourages the merchant to install this kind of kitchen online visualization. All in all, 120,000 merchants have installed this kind of system, and with the app, you can see this is a special section of the transparent in the kitchen or online visualization, and in that case, they can attract more traffic, and we would like to expose the good merchants to more customers. And of course, and their incidence in terms of food safety is much lower than other players, so they can better safeguard food safety with their kind of measures and methods. And for example, a neighborhood, and we installed the kitchen online visualization system for them, and which has been used as a pilot nationwide. And in Shanghai and in the Mingchu Plaza, we also carried out this kind of pilot and projects, and you're welcome to visit this neighborhood or visit this kind of mall, and the merchants can visit or to learn the knowledge from their end. And we also have online and offline kind of food safety training. And meanwhile, by means of the cloud, and we also provide our merchants with certain kind of advanced solutions. And then is the food safety seal, and which can cut down the number of the incidents of those food safety and events. So every year we issued tens of millions of this kind of free labels or free seals. And with our own POS system or POS system, we have this kind of label printer, so to integrate the information of the order as well as the label of the food safety together, and within one piece of paper, one piece of receipt. And then you can see this is what we are very proud of. That is the food safety liability insurance. So we have the 100% coverage in all this kind of order can apply this kind of compensation via insurance, and in their case, we can cut the kind of conflicts between the merchants and the consumers in terms of food safety incidents. And in the very middle part, you can see, just I circled here, you can see this is the compensation kind of access to food safety incidents. And then if you click this button, and you can see you need to input, for example, the reason for compensation, and then you input your kind of account and with a picture, and you can depict the problems within a very short period of time, and then you can get compensation out from the system. And some kind of malicious kind of users use this kind of system to gain benefits, but they are kind of this kind of behavior will be detected by the system, by our back end system. And our goal is to set up this kind of KPI and to increase our customer satisfaction. And then, as you can see, this is the online service, online customer service, and then food safety insurance, and then the kind of the emergency protection for our consumers.
We have digitalization and smart technology innovation. We work together with the industry, really finally, and make our consumers happy about food safety. Well, that's pretty much of our sharing. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing about Alibaba and digitalization. Just to empower food industry to drive food safety. Okay, and we have 15 minutes for the discussion. Yeah, Mary and Stan and other speakers, they are here. Any questions? For example, manufacturing area and auditing, etc. Also, the service provider, Starbucks, Disneyland, and etc. So all these areas, any questions from the floor? Any questions? Any questions? So we just maybe connect with online speakers to see whether they have any questions. So from Fenshuo, we are in the Chinese food. So for Disney, so you have the Western catering and also Chinese catering. For the Chinese catering, and it's different with Western catering. So how to adopt some measures to make a judgment the operation standard, and especially daily operation standard, whether the operation standard be met. Previously, I just mentioned that we have a central kitchen. The deep processing is really high. For example, you found Fenshuo Ri, the Xiaonanguo, they have their own central kitchen. So this central kitchen, just to make sure that every practice is well standardized. And we will not say this part is the Western, this part is Eastern. We call it well mixed. We have the development team. This development team will develop the flavor will be liked by the visitors. Also, we'll do the match with the supplier, the resources supplier. So we will start from the product development perspective to address this Western and Eastern style. Now we hand back the floor to Ibri. So we would like to invite our speaker.
I have two questions. I have plenty of questions actually, but I will ask only two. So my first question is directed to Mark. We talk a lot about virtual audit. Do you believe that one day, virtual audit could replace audit on site? That means, for many reasons, quarantine or environmental reason, I guess virtual audit could be a way in order to carry out this kind of activity?
Let me go back. Thanks for the question. Let me go back a few years before, and before COVID, we performed a benchmark study with global organization, and we were investigating whether they would use new technologies to perform audits. 2019, just a few organizations were really trying to scratch the surface of what benefits could be. Not too many, but then COVID forced all these organizations to go this way, right? Virtual, sometimes it was the only option. What we see as a trend is that there will be a mixed approach where virtual and face-to-face will work together. I think virtual has lots of benefits, especially in the preparation of the audit, in conversations you might have, in the fact that you can have other people participate to the audit, subject matter experts. But I believe personally that nothing will replace a face-to-face when we talk about GMP culture. You need to talk to people and you need to see and smell what's happening in a plant. I don't believe that virtual will replace forever face-to-face. That's my personal opinion.
Even with Google glasses.
Even with any glasses.
So, but my second question, I guess, is to all of you guys. You know, food safety management is mainly about data gathering, data interpretation. I mean, you know, machine learning algorithm can be quicker, better at interpreting, you know, early warning. Do you believe that one day, you know, machine learning algorithm could replace you? This is provocative. This is highly provocative. I know that, but you know, I just want to know, you know, if you are exploring it, if you are using it, and if you believe that one day, you know, they could do your job.
If I may continue, and then I will leave the stage to others. I don't think we will be replaced. I think we will always have the need for brains behind artificial intelligence. And so it will be, again, you know, we all together working together. I think artificial intelligence is already there. It's not the future, it's already there. It's changing completely the way we design, develop, you know, put on the market products. That's reality. From an audit perspective, I think it will allow us to go more to the predictive part of the business. How can we predict where to go, where to look for? But again, being replaced, no, I don't think so. Contribute, yes. That's my opinion.
They can provide, artificial intelligence can provide support to the, let's say, quality manager. So no, because it's really important in many let's say sectors. Artificial intelligence in a medical sector now, artificial intelligence has partly replaced. That means the diagnostics of the doctor himself. So that's why, you know, I am asking this question, because, you know, when you gather data, interpret data, algorithm can partly do the job.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned the word partly, and I think partly is the important word. It will replace partly, but not fully. That's fine.
Great. I am pleased about that, because, you know, I am so passionate about food safety management that I will be really, let's say, pissed off that, you know, an algorithm could replace me.
Okay.
Jeanette, you have some comments on that?
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you for your answer.
I think
it's okay. On my side, it's okay.
I mean, I think sooner or later will be replaced, even not 100%, but partially. And I believe in that majority part of our work, so majority part of our, the team will be replaced. It doesn't mean that we're useless. It means that we should shift our focus and the intelligence and also the other knowledges to some other more valuable areas. Frankly speaking, I think within the food safety management, currently practicing across many organizations, some of them are more administration work, and I don't think that is valuable for respect to the intelligence. I mean, so yeah, so I think we will be replaced for sure.
Thank you.
Jeanette,
Or Lily, you have some comments on that?
Yeah, maybe I also can share some personal view on that part. I think maybe talking about ideal situation definitely can be happen, but the reality, I think talking about the tools, and we still need the people, the creative related thinking, and to design the system to enable the purpose and the deliveries. And for example, currently in Mars China global team, we are working on to develop the predictive quality related tools. And to be honest, now every day we got a lot of the alert. Yeah, and the reason behind that is talking about how the tools identify and use the tools, and how to conduct the analysis, and how we set up the logical behind all this kind of the data, how we set up the connection. We still have the long journey and to make. So in my mind, I think maybe in the next 20 years, I don't believe they can replace us. But after all the things is well designed, and maybe, and also consider our the currently digital foundation, right? And if we want to achieve that kind of ideal situation, we also should have the very great, fantastic digital, the foundation. So that means, it should cover everything, should link together with well-designed logical, and then we can make it. So I think that is a long journey to make it. So I still believe, currently, all the quality and food safety guys is very important, and we should leverage our the creative thinking and to drive and to dig out the quality and food safety related insight, and use the tools to help us, and we leading the tools usage, and we based on the data and leading the quality and food safety management related insight, and drive the continuous improvement. So that is my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. So even if you are fine, I would suggest each speaker
I am fine.
to
I am
speak
fine.
their last words or last sentence, to conclude from their side. So we can start from Jeanette.
If you want to say something, maybe you can go ahead first.
If he said that he's fine with my proposal.
Okay, well, first I really wanted to thank all my fellow speakers. Learned a lot from each and every one of your speech. I think this is a great chance and for us from different industries to share what we do, what we are proud of, what we are working on, the opportunities. So for that, I also wanted to thank for the organizers who are organizing these fantastic forum, even with like the online, offline, the complexity of that. But I think it is a very effective forum, and personally, I've learned a lot from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. We let Lily to speak.
Yeah, I just want to echo, Jeanette mentioned, I also learned a lot, and because Mars is more related with manufacture, right? And I learned a lot talking about distribution and talking about the Ali and Erlama. I think that is also how to say open my eye, and how we better leverage our the digital related tools and enable our the quality and food safety management. So we appreciate this kind of organization, and we appreciate all the speakers to share the great the learnings and the best practice to all of us. I believe we will make something happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Mark, please.
Enjoyed a lot every single presentation. One key takeaway for me is the presentation from Starbucks, where I love this simple philosophy that if you have a high risk, you need high support, and that's what matters. So thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Thank you. 魏博士，您这边 ，Dr. Wei。Dr. Wei. Just before the conclusion, I want to address the question. The question is about whether AI will replace the food safety personnel. So my understanding is like that. For the food safety event, it's not something static, it's dynamic, and at a different historical stage, and we have different solution, and also at a different stage, there will be different problems popping up. Now, maybe for the same event, there will be different people involved, and there will be different solutions. That's really complicated for the Alibaba, Ali Cloud, and AI. Really difficult to find a solution. I believe in a long term, the AI in the food safety is so far, or in a quite a long period of time, still cannot replace the human brain. This is my perspective. And also for today's meeting, I just elaborate a lot about my views. For Alibaba, Ele.me, and it's a young company. Ele.me is a young company, and for the food safety management, we are still at a very early stage. You just mentioned about KPI, and compare with these bigger names. These bigger names, they have the very systematic management. We need to learn from them in terms of the platform, and we believe that we really learn a lot from them. That's great, and we got a lot of wonderful ideas from you. That's great. I hope in the future I will have more opportunities to communicate with you, communicate with all these famous brands to make improvement, make a continuous improvement. I just say I'm a primary student, and so I can make a further improvement. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I believe that for all the participants, online and offline, and the COVID, the pandemic will pass eventually, and I would like to have face-to-face communication, which will be much better than this kind of virtual conference. And thank you, Mary, if you have any more input. And I want to think out of the box, and from the perspective of an audience or spectators, and be it a high-end food manufacturer or a franchise food catering enterprise or Alibaba, and with this kind of platform, with its platform, it is conveying this kind of laws and regulations, or this kind of the training coaching to all the small merchants or those small catering players. So we can see there, all the indicators indicates that we are moving toward a very good kind of direction. So this is the 16th. This is the 16th session, and we are going to, I think we're having the 160th kind of session. 可以听到吗？
The session, please.
So if I can say a last word, I would like to thank you all for your outstanding presentation. I got very good insight. I am really proud of the, let's say, the food safety community. What you have been doing is a tough job. It's a really tough job, but by changing the mindset of your top management, because sometimes it's what you have to do. I guess the sky is the limit. Carry on doing what you do, getting the improvements that the environment gonna need, and I guess we will be achieving what we want. So thank you all. Your presentation were outstanding.
Thank you all. Thank you. 谢谢大家。那我们今天这个
Thank you all. I'm going to wrap up this session, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again in the coming future. So now we can say we are friends together. We are friends to each other. So we should keep this kind of communication in the context. Thank you. That's all for this session.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening for the Chinese, the colleagues.
我是娱乐演出的呀，我是娱乐行业的呀。